Hi guys, and welcome back to World of Tanks, and in a bit of a change to what I was planning on doing today, it's a random destruction. I was going to basically cover some of the new features in the new update. I was going to go around the map in a training room and sort of, let you have a look at it and show you some of the better features of it and that sort of thing, and just basically cover the update. But due to technical difficulties, there was an update. I think the servers went down, but nothing's happened, and apparently, according to one of the wargaming reps, I think it might even be the community coordinator, there's been technical difficulties to do with one of the launchers for one of the platforms that basically stopped the update rolling out on that platform. So they're working to fix it, otherwise they would have had to shut World of Tanks down for that particular platform. They've not said which one it is, but basically they would have had to shut it down for that platform until they got it fixed. So they're just going to fix it and then roll it out on all of them as soon as they can. But for now, like I say, I've got a random destruction. It did leave me a little bit stuck. I basically had a quick game this morning. The update came on, it went to when I can speak English again, went to the server at downtime. I went off, did some other stuff, came back a while later and found out the update had not gone on, and that sort of left me a bit stuck. So you've got a couple of older replays, I think one from maybe a couple of days ago and one from a few weeks ago, and this one is a new one from today. It's not a brilliant match, but you'll notice I'm in the Jagdtiger 88. I've not actually said what we're on Scorpion Pass, standard battle, tier 8 match, and yeah, Jagdtiger 88. It got discounted today. It had 2,000 gold knocked off, and somebody asked me to do a review of this, and I did say that I wanted one anyway. In fact, I've been wanting one for a while, and with it going on discount with the 2,000 off, I thought I'd pick one up. So I'm just not very good in it yet, but I'm sort of working on the IS-6 up at the end there, trying to support the friendly IS. A couple have donked into the tracks, some have been penning though, and it's just the rate of fire on this thing is fantastic. It's got 250 mil of armour on the front, not all over, it's basically the front of the superstructure and the gun mantle. The upper plate is somewhere between 121 to 160 millimeters, but it's still very bouncy, and if you can go hull down in this, you are almost impenetrable from the front. But RT is not your friend, as in so many things. The sides and rear, however, are a bit of a different story. They're only 80 millimeters thick, and it's basically got the long 88, so you've got 203 mil of penetration, 240 average damage. It's got a good aiming time at 2 seconds and fantastic accuracy at 0.31, and it's got a phenomenal rate of fire at 11.11 rounds a minute, which is fantastic for this gun. But it is incredibly, well, not slow, it's sluggish, I think is the right word. It's got fairly decent top speed, but a bit of an underpowered 700 horsepower engine, so it does feel quite sluggish. And like I say, I'm crapping it so far, so you're not going to see anything particularly exciting this round, so don't get too ready for that. But I do like it. Like I say, I've been wanting one for a while, and I do like it. I like the assault gun type of gameplay when you're top tier and you can get in there. It likes city maps, I've found so far. Sitting down one end of a road and covering it, and like I say, if you can hide your lower plate, you are almost invulnerable to fire. It is quite good fun. Just don't let anything get around your sides or your rear. Now I've found a lonely Type 58, and it's actually Bojack, and I didn't realise until this point. I'd not been paying much attention, to be honest, and then I realised it was Bojack, who's got his own YouTube channel and is also on my subscription list as well, and I'm on his. So, sorry, Jack, but I had to do it. It's been a funny old day today on World of Tanks for me. Like I said, I've not had loads of games, and those that I've had have just been very, well, bad to average, I think is the way to put it. Not got much of a shot at the 87, but like I say, it's accurate, and as you can see, I managed to actually hit him, but I'm not going to get another shot at him because he's dropped down below ridge line, so I'm going to go on the hunt for somebody else. There's still a few tanks unaccounted for, and I'm assuming they're going to be up on this ridge somewhere. down in the southeastern corner there. No, there's an ISU 152. I don't want to give him my side. Definitely not. Especially if he's got the BL-10 troll cannon, which has got a very hefty 750 average damage. Really don't want to be giving him my side. But it doesn't look like he does have that gun. So I could possibly be safe. I did take a hit from him before. Although looking at the damage that he did, maybe not. No, I've not got a shot at either of those two. I had a slight shot at the Lerva, but he's pulled back. And the other thing about the Jagdtiger is it gets, well, the Jagdtiger 88 should I say, is it gets preferential matchmaking, so it only sees up to tier 9. And that's basically down to the gun. Do you know, I'd completely forgotten about the T-44 until that point. I did see him, but I thought he'd gone further up the river valley. Either that or he would have made himself known. Because I'm pretty sure he would have known I was up there from when I was shooting at that ISU 152. But anyway, I know there's somebody heading down towards our base, so I start heading up this way to try and sort of cut over. And then that Lerva pops back up on my left, and I really... yeah, that's about when I realise I'm not going to get into cover quick enough, and he will actually kill me before I get there. So I spin it round to give him my strongest armour and start putting a couple of shots back at him, but with him having the elevation on me, it's flattened out that front plate, so he's able to just put shots straight through it, which is quite unfortunate, and there's not really much I can do about it, I'm afraid. And this is about the time where I realise that I'm basically done for, and that's me out of the match. And we're also being capped, which is not very good, so I hope they can get back in time. But I think we'll skip to the end and see what happens. Right, so unfortunately that was a defeat. They capped out in the end, and we weren't quite quick enough to get back because there were slower tanks, and at the other end of Scorpion Pass, which is not an easy map to get back from, but I did get 104,000 credits and 2,759 damage done possibly. So not bad, came top of the table, which is always nice. I think that was probably my third or fourth match in that. But I'm getting better. It's just figuring it out and figuring out what you can and can't do in it, and you've just got to hide that lower plate is the only advice I can give you so far for the Jagdtiger 88. Right, so here's the second replay for you tonight. It's a tier 10 match. I'm in the tier 9 British Heavy, the Conqueror. And it's on Fisherman's Bay, and it's an encounter battle. Now, the Conqueror is basically a very good gun and a very good turret on quite a mediocre and large hull. It's got 130mm of armour on the front, 51 on the sides and 38 on the rear. Now you can side scrape in it, but you've got to be very careful. It's very, very easy to over angle, but you can do it. In fact, I think I'd do it in this match. The turret armour is well, I think it's about 200 I've not got the exact figures with me at the minute, although Peppermint Shaw did send me a spreadsheet which is going to be very useful. I've just got to get it onto my laptop for now. I've just looked at it on my phone. But I digress. It's about 252, I want to say. It might be more than that on the front, but it's a very bouncy turret. It's very weak on the sides and rear though. So again, it's very easy to penetrate it if the turret isn't facing directly at you. But the hull is very sort of mediocre, although having said that, you can bounce quite a few shots off your upper plate if you're using your gun depression, sort of on a rise or a small bump in the ground, but you've really got to hide your lower front plate, especially the front left side, as you're in the tank, and the front right side as people are looking at you, because it's got a big old ammo rack in there, which is very, very easy to get damaged. And I think I have safe stowage and possibly a wet ammo rack on this, because it's so easy to get your ammo racks damaged in it. So I would recommend something along those lines. But it is a very, very good gun, like I say. So I think it's 120mm, 400 average damage, and penetration, again I've not got the exact figures, but it is very high up and a very good penetration. And even at this range, it's, you know, more than enough penetration to go through the 200mm front of a Tiger P. That seems to be high rolling slightly actually on the damage. I'm pretty sure it's 400 average, so getting on for 450, that's not a bad roll. Now, I know the Tiger P is lower tier, and I know there's higher tier stuff, but I didn't have shots at them, and I went for that, and it basically eliminates one gun shooting back at you, and when you've got a hull like the Conqueror, a Tiger P can actually be quite a serious problem. You would have no problem punching straight through the front of this hull. So, taking him out, like I say, one less gun shooting back, and that can only be a good thing. Now I'm going to pop round and just put a cheeky shot straight into that 4502A and finish him off. And now we've just got the E75, and there's a T10 down at the other end of this sort of gully that I'm in. And I want to try and get some shots at him possibly, but I'm not too sure. There he is. I'm just going for the upper part of the hull, but I didn't think that'd go through. And he actually bounced off me. I'm not sure if that was the side of my hull or my turret. And I just put a speculative, yeah. I put a guessing shot, because I can't speak English tonight, out in his direction and miss. Now, I'm just setting up for the side scrape against this E75, and he is also side scraping. And he has much better side armour than I do, so it's a lot harder to over angle in the E75, but I don't know if I quite got the angle right there, so I'm going to pull back. I think he got it through my lower plate, re-angle slightly, and now he seems to be bouncing, so it looks like I've got the angle right. But you do have to be careful in this, like I say, you've only got 51mm of armour to play with on the side. Now you'll see, well, that one didn't because I donked it into the rock, but there's a little ball just on the side of the turret. You see where I'm aiming on the E75, and when you can hit it, which is sort of if you're at closer range, I mean I could do with being a bit closer than I am now, but with the street fighting, if you're both sort of corner fighting, side scraping, it's a good place to go for. But I think there's a ball on either side and you can hit them and pen them, and that one seemed to bounce, but he's bouncing back off me as well, so I know I've got the right angle. And he's actually dealt with now with a bit of help from that tank destroyer, a waffle dragon. So the odds aren't too bad in our favour. It's 8-4. We could still pull it back, and this is where I possibly make a mistake. I think I should have stayed in the gully, but I was just quite keen to get up and behind these guys and start putting some shots in, and I get one into the back of the convoy, well, the sort of rear of the convoy, the rear side, and I take a hit from the M103 in return, and even though it came in at quite a decent angle, it's still penned, and that's what I mean. You've got to be careful with the side of one of these things. You don't have a lot to play with. Now I've also got to be careful on my right, because there's a Waffenträger Panzer IV, and he could take a good chunk of my remaining health away. But he's been dealt with, and I get a bit of assisted damage, which is always nice. And I'm going to try and get up behind this M103, and well, no, just the M103 now. We've interrupted the cap. We've got somebody capping. There's only 4 tanks left on the enemy team. And there's the M103. Just pop one into his turret, because I wasn't quite sure if there was wreckage in front of his hull. I don't think it was in the end. But the one in the turret finishes him off. Now there's an FV215B, a T110E4, and a tank destroyer. No, that is the tank destroyer, and a medium tank, a T54, sorry. That's what's left. Now the T54, a bit of a spoiler, he pops up near one of our spawns. There he goes. So that leaves the 215B, which has basically got this gun, but better soft stats, things like accuracy, better reload. I think better aiming time. Well, accuracy is only slightly better, but it's there. And is very, very good at side scraping and has a very good turret. In fact, it's this turret, but a bit stronger sides and rear on it. And the T110E4, which is a very, very tough target from the front as well. Oh, there's a 215B. Yeah, he's a bit closer than I thought. And I'm basically donking a bit into the upper plate and it bounces. But with it having a rear-mounted turret, it doesn't look like it's quite got the gun depression to get down to shoot at me. So I managed to put one through his commander's hatch. And I'm going to go for it. The same place again, because it seemed to work before. I can just get it. No. Took a bit too long aiming. But then again, if I'd have risked the shot, it might have not have gone in. And that's the match. Like I say, not a particularly impressive match, but I've been left in the lurch a little bit. Should have made a backup plan, but I really did think the update would go live today, so there we go. These things happen, don't they? But not too bad. 2,600 blocked, 1,500 assisted, and 3,400 of my own damage as well. I did have a ×3 on there because I'm now trying to get to the 215B and get that out of the way, because I would like to review that whole sort of heavy British tank line going all the way from the Churchills upwards. And I've got the Chieftains, so now I just need to get the 215B, so I am working towards it. You'll probably see a bit more of the Conqueror in the next few random destructions that get uploaded. Right, so this one's from a few weeks ago, probably not long after I got the Kaiju actually. And I'm in the Kaiju. It's Erlenberg Standard Battle, and it's a tier 6 match. And I think this is one that I've been meaning to put on since I did it. Again, it's not the best of matches, it's not the worst of matches, it's just a nice match. And it shows a couple of the strengths of the Kaiju and some of the other Japanese heavies. Which is the fact that their rear armour is just about as strong, if not as strong, as the frontal armour. And it kind of does require a slightly different play style. It took a while to get used to not turning the tank if something gets behind you, because quite often, obviously, nearly every other tank, if not every other tank, apart from the Excelsior springs to mind, if anything gets behind you, you really need to try and turn your tank to get your strongest armour towards it. Whereas in the Kaiju, because I think it's 150mm front and back, and only 70 on the sides, and obviously the turret is 150 all round, you basically just turn the turret instead, because if you start to turn the tank, if something's behind you, you will then expose your weakest armour, which is your side, whereas the front and the back is actually the strongest armour. So it does... it does kind of require a bit of a different playstyle and take a bit of getting used to at first. And as we know, the Kaiju's got a 10cm gun with, I think it's 300 damage and about 160mm penetration. And not a bad rate of fire, to be honest, given a tier 6 a gun as big as this. I think the rate of fire is quite acceptable. It works, definitely. Now, it's not too bad at firing on the move because it is quite slow. It's not as fast as the OI Experimental at tier 5, but I don't think RNGesus was with me today because I kept missing whenever I fired on the move. Let's see if I can finish off that T67, and indeed I do. There's T3488 there. He wouldn't get through the front, but he could definitely get through the side, and if he loads a bit of premium ammo, he could probably get through the front. And at this range, I don't think there's much in this match that's actually going to penetrate the front of this vehicle. And don't forget, your penetration drops off over range, so the further away you are, the more the penetration drops off. And accuracy as well. I mean, they've got to try and hit one of the weak spots, and there's that many angles on the front of it that at that range they're likely going to hit one of those and bounce, or just bounce off no matter where they hit. And I just managed to pick off that ELC. I think he thought he got away with it and he was safe, He didn't know I was looking in his direction. And I think I just one-shot that poor little tier 4 tank destroyer. I don't think I was even going for him. I think I was going for the one behind him, actually. The T-150, but it just dropped down and clipped him, I think. Now, if I'd have aimed that a bit better, that could have gone through the front of that Churchill. Possibly not through the front of the hull, but definitely through the front of the turret, I would have said. But it just keeps going one way or the other and never really on target. And then I lose a bit of signal, which never helps. But luckily it came back quite quickly. I've had a few games that were almost unplayable with dodgy lag for some reason. And it'll just be one game. Maybe out of an entire day I'll have 1 or 2 games with just weird lag. And then it'll all just go back to normal. So I'm not entirely sure what's happening there. But I'm going to push through this courtyard, and if I can get far enough through, then if that tank destroyer does come round behind me... In fact, no, I change my mind, and I go back to have a pop at him as he's passing. But no, it looks like he's intent on getting round behind me, and I think this was at a time where these had only just come on and people were still struggling to know where to pen them, and to realise that the side armour was actually the weakest, and I think that's why I went to get round behind me. And it's just like with the Excelsior, side armour is the weakest. So that's just where I'm going to plant that one, and that was quite a low roll actually. And there's the Jackson, he's popped up behind me, and he's just bouncing harmlessly off my big Japanese backside. So I give him a bit of a push in return, and make him back off and just carry on to deal with what's in front, really. Again, you don't have to feel particularly scared of turning your turret, because if they can get through the front of your turret, they can get through the back of it anyway, because it's the same thickness all the way around. So you know, you really don't have to be afraid. If they're bouncing off your turret, you can just turn it and be quite happy that they're going to continue bouncing off it. As I finish off the Jackson, it almost, in this tank, it almost does feel like swatting flies. You know, like you're a big, slow, lumbering, stupid beast, like a massive ox or something like that, and you're just swatting away flies. It does kind of feel like that at times. But there you go. Not a bad match, not a brilliant match, but quite a nice and entertaining match in the Kaiju from a few weeks ago. 2,500 damage done. Definitely not my record, but a nice amount of blocks at 3,815. And still came out of it with a high caliber and a steel wall as well, so it's always nice. And there you go. Well, I hope you've enjoyed tonight's episode. Like I say, a bit different to what I'd planned. I did plan on going through all the update features and, you know, the new map, that sort of thing, but hopefully I'll be able to bring that tomorrow. Fingers crossed they'll get it fixed, but if not, I might do a Jagdtiger 88 review, possibly. I don't know, who knows, we'll see. Anyway, as always, take care out there, and I'll catch you next time. See you later.